All right, class. So we are going to dive into communication. Now, this is going to be a 2 week um, look at the topic. Okay, we're going to break it down into communication, verbal, nonverbal, face to face, everyday communication. And then we're also going to break it down into written communication. I felt that written communication is generally just lumped in with everything else, and it doesn't, not enough time is generally spent on it. And it's very important. Written communication is most of the time other people's perception, especially from other companies or people that we're trying to do business with, their perception of us, our how good we do things is from our written communication. All right. So I feel that it warrants a separate week. Okay. So, but this week, this video is not an instruction video. I'm just introducing the topic. Most of your instructions are going to come from I think it's a 24 slide PowerPoint. I'll have some audio on that. So it's a lot of good information. Now, I will tell you that it came from a book that primarily came from a book that approached the topic from a manager's perspective. All right. Now, really and truly, when we talk about the ins and outs and the mechanics of communication, it is more managerial than leadership oriented, right? But I feel that the way we communicate is a huge part of a leader's example. The example we set as leaders, a lot of it comes from the way we communicate. And really and truly, if you're a poor communicator, you're generally going to be a poor leader. Now, there's people who have actual issues that might have difficulty communicating. But if you don't care to communicate well, then what does that say about you as a leader? All right. So there is one thing that I want to discuss that is not on the slides, and this is a personal opinion of mine. All right. And that is, well, okay, let me back up. It might be my personal opinion, but as a teacher, this is information that I want students to have, and I want this to be your perception of communication in general. And that is this: communication is the responsibility, or successful communication is the responsibility of the communicator and not the communicatee. All right. It is the responsibility of the leader and not the follower. Okay. Now, what do I mean by that? We cannot, as leaders, step out of our office and yell, "Hey, this is the new policy for this," and then go back into our office and knowing, or maybe not even picking up, that our voices were drowned out by the machines or the mixers in the kitchen or the din in the dining room or the music in the hotel lobby. We don't even pay attention to that, right? And then when what the new policy that you try to communicate fails, then you try to blame the people who, oh, I told you, all right? That's not a good way to lead, and that's definitely not a good way to communicate. And so now I admit that there's people who, no matter what you do, how effective a communicator you are, they are sometimes purposefully, sometimes they're just not capable of picking up things. Okay. And that is a whole different issue. That at that point, yes, that is a failureship of communication. I failed in communicating, but the cause of that failure needs to be investigated. And if the cause of that failure is that someone is just incapable of being communicated to, then you need to see if that person is right for that position or not. All right. So it doesn't say that you're any less responsible, because you are. All right. Leaders are responsible. Leaders are responsible for everything, really, but primarily in a communication kind of situation, you're responsible. You have to ensure that what you want to communicate is being picked up. All right. That's it. All right. I feel that is vitally important. If we lose track of that and we start blaming people and we start pointing fingers, we're not accomplishing anything, and we're certainly not displaying leadership. Okay. So watch or go through the PowerPoints, listen to my comments, and we're going to have we're going to have an assignment and a discussion, and it should be good. All right. And hopefully you'll communicate within those two assignments well. All right. Till next time.